Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Just Seen podcast. And as you've seen from the title, today we're going to be talking about belief. And I'm doing a little mini series within this series on the 4 levels of the mind, belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. One thing I do is I talk about it a lot, but I don't think I've ever expressed what I mean by that. And I know it's like, oh, it's in the books, it's in So Frail 3. But then, you have Sophro 2, where I talk about the 3 modalities of the mind, being the conscious mind, subconscious and unconscious minds, right? Today, I'm going to bridge the gap between those two, because even in Sophro 3, I didn't give it the justice of bridging the gap and bringing them together to show you why I say and I express what I express. When it comes to to the level of belief, it's a very, very, very potent reality. A lot of people don't understand. They think belief is the highest pinnacle of existence, because as I always say, a god or a deity is the highest level of the mind. It's the highest conceptualization of the mind. So if you only believe in the highest conceptualization of the mind, you have to think about how far you actually are from the highest conceptualization of the mind if you're not even in the highest level of the mind when you're experiencing it, or when you're expressing your love and your love and your trust and your everything that you devote yourself to. And so I kind of wanted to talk about that today, because when I tell people, um, it's hard to fuck with people who have the mind of a believer. It's people who don't understand where I'm going from, where I'm coming from, where I'm going with that, who are like, um, well, everybody has their own beliefs. People are going to believe what they're going to believe, and they are. But I don't feel personally that, it's not even that I don't feel, but nobody should be limited to the level of belief, right? Nobody should be limited to the level of belief. And in that, when we're looking at the levels of the mind, all 4 really, each level still has to go through those 3 modalities. You feel me? Isn't when I talk about, you got to be on to get to the level of understanding and still have the control over all modalities of the mind, the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. That is a whole different reality of being. So when I tell people, it's always, it comes off, oh, you're condescending to people. No, I'm speaking of reality. I don't argue understanding with belief, because there's so many different levels and layers between those 2 realities that there's nothing for me to conceptualize with. So when I tell people, I understand that what people believe, some people think that, oh, that's a condescending thing. And, you're just saying that because, and they don't really want to take a peek into my mind and go as deep as they want to. So you know what? I decided that what I'm going to do is, on one hand, I'm going to absolve myself of having to constantly defend the difference between understanding and belief, while people are in a whole different space than myself, without it coming off as, oh, he's arrogant, he's this, he's that, because I get tired of hearing that shit. You feel what I'm saying? So much so that people even get to where, they call me a devil worshiper or whatever the case may be, because of how deep my understanding of things goes. Because I have no limit to what I can and can't understand, or what I will and won't understand. So today, I'm just going to start. We're going to start the series off. It's going to go over 4 weeks. Belief, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. But each level of the mind, we're also going to break down according to the modality of that level of the mind. So and as today, we start with belief, right? And from belief, we're going to go into the, like I said, the 3 modalities. So one thing that I always talk about, I always say, like, I can't really fuck with somebody who has the mind of a believer. Most religious people have the mind of a believer, and I get it. They're like, yo, that's what the religion teaches you supposed to, but the religion never teaches you to exceed beyond belief. You can't. You feel me? You can't. And I'm going to break down why you can't. And I'm going to break down the significance of the different living levels and the different layers that tie into that, right? By the time it's all said and done, you will understand why we're in 2 different mental spaces, and why I have pushed my mind to the level of that I have reached. Because I always say knowledge is power, and he or she who has more knowledge over you has the power over you. When you have understanding, knowledge being a power is not even a factor to you anymore. And that's what I want people to understand. But I need people to understand that it's levels to the shit. It's legit levels to the shit. And I don't want to express it. I don't want to come off like that anymore. But this is the only way that I can come off, because people have to realize we're in 2 totally different spaces. And so this is why I don't I try not to go back and forth because I'm able to understand what level of the mind you're coming from. Not only that, which level and which modality you're speaking from when you speak. Are you coming from the level of belief and on the conscious mind and the unconscious mind? And when I go through it, you'll see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And these are things that you have probably done yourself. These are things that I've done, you know what I'm saying, in the level of the belief that I have. But it was very, very, very difficult to maneuver. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to be controlled when you're only operating from the state of belief and you still have these modalities at play. But before we dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Be sure to check out my website at iamjustseen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not this episode, but the podcast itself. And as always, Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And that's that for this, and that's this for that. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into belief. I don't have a subtitle yet, so it'll be whatever it is on the shit when it comes up. But when we come back, we're going to dive into belief, whatever my subtitle is going to be. And don't forget to visit iamjustseen.com. There, you can get all things just seen. You want to add the So For Real series to your library? Visit iamjustseen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit iamjustseen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit iamjustseen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit iamjustseen.com. You ever want to just chat with Scene about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit iamjustseen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at iamjustseen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit iamjustseen.com. All right. Welcome back. And without further ado, we just gonna dive straight into it. So, we always got to begin with the understanding of what it is that we're talking about. So today's episode is going to merge the three modalities of the mind with one level of the mind, which is belief. And I know it's like, yo, this nigga really gonna get a whole episode out of belief, man. We're gonna be hearing about religion and the Bible and the Quran and all that shit. Mm-mm. I'm gonna talk about those things, but the depths in which I go, you're gonna see that those things are kind of they're rather minuscule to the depths of what your mind really has the capacity to do. So, first point that I want to mention, I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off here. Science will tell you that, oh, we only use 10% of our brain, 10% of our brains. You already see where I'm about to go with that. The fact that we only use 10% of our brain shows that we're only operating from the level of belief at maximum capacity, right? It's going to be crazy how I break it down when I really show you and get to the nitty gritty of it. But when they're saying that, what they're referring to also is, one, not really our brains. We're using 10% of our consciousness. So our consciousness is what is also tied to the level of the mind, right? The lowest level of the mind is belief. Now, the lowest modality of the mind is consciousness. It's what you consciously think. The deepest one, the highest one, is your unconscious mind. Many of us are operating from a level of belief only on our conscious mind. This is why we can, in immediate moments, utter so many conflicting realities and really not get it, because we can actually only converse for the moment, and we'll consciously say one thing and then forget we said that shit and then have to switch around to here and switch around to here, and we're not really aware of what we're saying. So this is why when it comes to listening versus hearing, we can hear just to respond to some shit. That's why motherfuckers hear buzzwords and they fly off the handle. Literally, I have it happen like at least twice a week, roughly about. A motherfucker would see a post that I make, see a little bit of buzzwords and say, I don't agree. And I listen to it. And I'm like, so explain to me what it is. And when we get to the point of like, oh, we're just saying the same thing differently. Were you conscious of us saying the same thing differently before or after you said that we're saying something different first? Because if we're saying the same thing differently, why did you feel the need to go against what I'm saying? Because now that means you're contradicting yourself. And again, when I say that, people be like, well, everybody ain't got to agree with you. You're right. But don't tell me you disagree with me. And then in your disagreement, you agree with me. That shows that there's a disconnect within your conscious reality and your level of belief, or the level of the belief of your mind, or you're still at the level of belief of your mind and you are expressing it consciously, right? So we know that the level of belief of the mind is largely dependent upon trust. So what we're spewing and what we're expressing from that level is the shit that we've heard that we trusted in, not the shit that we actually know. That'll be next week when we talk about what we know. For now, we're going to stick on what we believe, which is based on what we trust, right? Because we know the first level of the mind, which is belief, it is predicated by two solid points: faith and fear. This is why this is the biggest theme of our religious tenets. This is the biggest theme of everything. Have faith in it, but don't fear it. But you have to understand that faith and fear are the exact same things. Hear me well. They're the exact same things. They are both predicated on your lack of understanding something. They tell you all the time, walk by faith and not by sight. If you're walking by faith and not by sight, and if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you equally have fear in the same capacity. Because simply faith is going towards things you don't understand. Fear is staying away from things you don't understand. Fear is not a bad thing. Fear is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. Fear is not being scary. Fear is not understanding what something is and you're staying away from it. That's smart as fuck. However, it's fearful because you never decide that you're going to seek the understanding of it. So now when we tie the modalities into the mind, the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, the unconscious is where our programming is at, right? But the conscious mind is where we think our mind is active at. So no matter what it is, when we're conscious of something, that is when we're able to subdue our emotions and our feelings and verbally express what it is that we're dealing with. But our unconscious mind, that is what happens when when our reality is shifted and our emotions are hit and we can't think anymore. We can only feel. You feel what I'm saying? So when we're in those spaces, like I was saying, when I was having conversations with people who be like, yo, I disagree with what you're saying, and then tell me verbatim that they agree with what I'm saying, but they just said it differently. So I'm like, did you just not like the way that I said it because you felt like you could say it better? Or what was the situation? Is the ego, is the arrogance? A lot of people be thinking that, but it's really not. It's the level of the mind. This is one of the reasons why I don't get upset with people anymore when they disagree. Well, I never got upset when people disagree, but I don't get upset when people disagree and say the same thing, or I don't get upset when people challenge me because I know what level they're coming from. If you're not coming from the unconscious modality of the understanding of the mind, we're not really going to have a good conversation. And I already know that there's degrees of separations. So I know people say, well, your unconscious mind is unconscious. You can't access that. Yes, you can. The fact that they told you couldn't and you believed it is why you can't access your unconscious mind. You feel what I'm saying? So back to the modalities that I was speaking on, most of us, we operate from a level of belief. That's the level of the mind with the modality of the consciousness. So of the conscious mind. So when we're only operating from the conscious mind, we have to express the things consciously that we trust in, which is fear or faith. You feel me? Most motherfuckers don't really know what they talking about. They believe the motherfucker that told them and they repeat it. Think about when you were a kid. Think about some of the shit that you have been passionate about. And when you found the truth out, this is why it shattered your reality so much. Cause you like, damn, because now you're not mad at the information. You're mad at the people who lied to you. And even more than that, you're mad at the motherfucker who told you the truth. Ain't that a bitch? When I talk about religion to people and they come to me and say, oh, and this is one of the reasons why when I talk to people who say, yo, you'll come back to the religion, everybody believes what they want to, this is not about belief for me. It's not about belief for me. It's literally about understanding. And it's understanding is so deep and so hardwired that there's nothing that can shake that. But see, the thing about belief, when you believe in something, it's just in your conscious mind. It's just a matter of time before it can shake your foundation. This is why you have to fear certain things and you have to stay away from it. I literally had a conversation with somebody. We were talking about the Council of Nicaea, and they told me verbatim, if it's going to make me stop believing in Jesus, I don't want to read it. I don't want to study it. I ain't mad at you. Do your thing, but understand what you have accepted over yourself, that you will never ascend above the level of belief, and you are going to stay at the conscious level of the mind while your unconscious mind is still programmed, regardless of how well you think or don't think that things can play out a certain way for you. The fact that you don't want to study, which goes into the next point, the fact that you don't want to study the antithesis of something means that you will never leave the level of belief of the mind. And I'm not saying study a different version of the same thing. I mean, literally study the antithesis of something. How many people, I'm not saying study Satanism, but I'm saying how many people how many religious people are confident enough in their belief and in their belief system where they can have a conversation with an atheist? Not many. I'm not saying I'm an atheist, right? I'm actually an ominous. I understand each one of these religions and the truth that they all hold, because there's a converging point where they all tell the same story, and that's what I fuck with. I always tell people, the truth resides where opposing sides agree. That's the truth. When two opposing sides tell the same story, that's the truth. It's not that difficult. You feel me? But what we think is the truth is the confidence we have in somebody else's expression of something, and we trust and we believe it. You feel me? This is why we have been programmed into a reality that a lot of us are mentally children, and we're going to stay children no matter how old we get. We're always going to look to somebody else who we think may have more knowledge than us, who may be smarter than us, who's older than us, or whatever the case may be, who's experienced more in life. The third level of the mind is wisdom, and that's where experience lives. How are you experiencing more in life when you're still on a level of belief? Sit with that. We're here for a reason, and I'm gonna break this down as we keep going, but we're here for a reason. But I need that to be understood. Did somebody really experience life if they're still at the level of belief? No. And then now we have to add into the factors of the three modalities: conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind. It's a cold game. And like I said, I don't want to stick on it being like I'm about religion, but religion sets the tone for a lot of this shit. A lot of us have trusted in everybody along the way, and it has either made us fear or have faith in a thing, and it has completely tainted our realities to where we don't think for ourselves anymore. You dig what I'm saying? And we use the justification to help our conscious mind stay aware, but we don't realize how much shit we're programming to our unconscious mind. Starting with the religion, we're talking about being a born sinner. Your unconscious mind is where is stored. So regardless of, we tell ourselves we're born sinners, and that's what's programmed in us unconsciously. Will tell us that we're not shit until we give our lives to Jesus, God, Allah, Jehovah, Krishna, Buddha. We're not taught that we have value until we give that point. But consciously, we try to say, "Oh, I got favor. Favor ain't fair." That's what you consciously tell yourself, but your unconscious reality shows that you believe you ain't shit. You believe you're a born fuck up. So your unconscious reality is what dictates your true reality. Because when your feelings are involved and you can no longer think consciously or subconsciously, what's going to happen is your unconscious mind has to kick in. If you've read So Frail 3 and you read So Frail 2, no, specifically So Frail 2, when I talk about the unconscious modality of the mind, I use the example of a medical student who's doing rotations, they've done clinicals and all of the other good shit, and somebody comes in, they shot or whatever, and the doctor just utters the words, he's losing a lot of blood fast, he's losing a lot of blood fast, we need to stop the bleeding, stat. And the nurse or whatever just takes off running, goes straight to the blood bank, gets type O blood, grabs some vials, some needles and vials and all of this other shit, then comes back, and then they intubate the people, boom, 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 get the blood going. And it's like, well, how did she know to do that? That was an unconscious reality. The unconscious reality had already stored so much that type O blood is a universal donor. So I don't even have the time to sit and say, well, what blood type is this motherfucker? No, I don't have the time to do that. So my feelings are involved. I can't consciously think about it, and I can't subconsciously think about it. I have to unconsciously act on it. Right? So the motherfucker sprints off, does this, and gets everything, and now the blood is being transfused. They get multiple bags because they don't know if they're going to stop the blood anytime soon. I use that example for a reason, because it shows how the unconscious mind is programmed. So when I tell people, you know, I can tell when you're speaking from your unconscious mind, because your conscious mind eventually reaches a peak once emotions are evolved. And then the moment somebody disagrees with you and your thought, and they with what you're trusting in, that's when your unconscious mind has to kick in and what you do. So when we're looking at it from that perspective, This is one of the reasons why black women are single. And my sisters, I know y'all gonna be mad a little bit when I start this, but as I continue on, you're gonna understand why. Black women are still single to this day because they have conflicting realities with the humanity within themselves and the woman that they have to be programmed into being. It don't work. The shit don't work. And people be wondering why I'm like, yo, I don't fuck with submission. Because submission isn't a natural thing. Women don't submit to men. And the quicker women accept this reality and stop trying to justify it within their unconscious mind, they'll stop being confused and they'll be able to find a man that they can actually coexist with, and they'll find a man that they can truly harmonize with. Until then, it's not going to work. And at the same time, for the men, until we realize that women aren't naturally going to submit to us or supposed to submit to us, we will no longer be in a reality where we're dealing with mediocre women and we can actually step our plates up to deal with the women that we have to unleash. I say it all the time. Women aren't supposed to be submissive. We're supposed to be unleashing women. But motherfuckers be thinking I'm crazy. Well, the Bible say, the Quran say, all of these things, and all these things are programmed you to a fucked up reality. Think about it. We've been following the same shit for the last 2,000 years and we fucked up. Does it work? Obviously not. But what is the reason why it doesn't work? And this is what we're talking about. Because when you have that level of belief, you trust in what the people tell you. So who are they following? The women, the older women who are saying, look, girl, you need to do this. You need to do this. Get you a man to do this. And these women are failing in their relationships and nobody sees it because they smile so good. They're failing in the whole relationship. The whole relationship is fucked up with the man that they're involving themselves with. They spent 50, 60 years miserable. And they told you to repeat the same process. It ain't no different than that when you're going to school. A motherfucker was like, yeah, get a good job, get a good degree. And you watch this motherfucker work 40, 50 years and get nothing. Something's off there, but they're going to convince you that you can do what I failed at, what the people that preceded me failed at, what people continue to fail at. They just look good doing it. What? That is a part of this reality of the mind. So when I take it back to women not being naturally submissive, it's obvious. And women have finally realized that point. We're not submissive, but they're still wired to say, I'm going to submit to a man who can lead. You not see the contradiction in that shit? You feel me? How can you allow a motherfucker to tell you what to do when you don't want to be told what to do? What? Because you don't want to be controlled. No man can control me, but I need a man to lead me. What? How does that there has to be some level of control if I'm going to lead you because I have to direct you and tell you which way to go. You feel me? I get it, motherfuckers. It's semantics. Oh, it's the control. He can provide direction, but don't control. He has to control you to provide direction. If you put your GPS in your car to get direction to some motherfucking where, it's controlling where you're going. The fuck? Yeah, you driving. So the fuck what? But this is controlling where your destination, where your arrival to your destination is going to be. Feel me? Same exact fucking shit. But like I said, women are hardwired and it's their unconscious mind has so many different realities conflicting within it that they don't know which one to choose. Because literally you have feminism programming you that you're independent women and, you don't need men need you and all this other crazy shit. You're listening to that. Then you have the religious reality, Proverbs 31, a woman and shit. Like, I know that the Quran and everything doesn't have that Proverbs 31, but this is a principle. They're like, yo, the good woman is basically a slave. You feel me? She cooks, she cleans, she does everything. She shut the fuck up. She doesn't seduce her king. She doesn't do all of these different things. Come on now. A woman, when you want you have to be seducing to create a man who's sexually attracted to you. So at some point, I get it. Don't use seduction for improper reasonings and shit like that. But there has to be some level of seduction for a motherfucker to be sexually attracted to you. Men do it all the time. We seduce the fuck out of y'all. You feel me? Because we got to make y'all, and we call it sex appeal. We have to make you fucking, you feel what I'm saying? It's called seduction. And that's what seduction boils down to. You feel what I'm saying? But like I said, when you have so many different conflicting realities, you feel me? Where women, oh, be the modest woman who doesn't have a lot of bodies, but at the same time, you want to be a freak because that's within you. You get horny. You feel me? You want to, but now you looking at those women as, oh, something wrong with them. But on the inside, you want to be that woman too. On the inside, men want you to be that woman, but you just can't be that woman. I want you to be that woman, but I don't want nobody to know. If that's what you are, you can't hide it. I'm not saying be a hoe because there's levels to the shit because you have to practice discipline and restraint. But you have to, at the same time, realize that you're regardless of what your conscious mind is uttering. And this is why I'm bringing this up because the conscious mind is uttering, I'll submit to a man who can lead me. But your unconscious mind has been programmed to two different realities. You can't do both. You can't do both. But you're trying to do both. So you have to pick a side. Either I'm going to be single. Because, I hear all the time women say, yo, uh, ooh, I'm tired of being in my masculine. You're not in your masculine. You're in your head. You're in your fucking head. You're not in your masculine. You're in your fucking head because your unconscious mind has already been programmed for realities that conflict with each other. And one thing I learned as an entrepreneur, one thing I learned in this world is that not even as an entrepreneur, entrepreneurship taught me this, but when I look back, it's all through reality. A confused mind will always say no. So now let's look at how deep a confused mind really is. We're only on the first level of the mind, which is belief, and we have three modalities of it. A confused mind is when you have your subconscious, conscious, and unconscious minds in a conflict with each other. There's no way you can say yes. But now we've also been programmed to be people pleasers. So we can't say no. Y'all, we ain't even left the first level of the mind yet. We ain't even left the first level of the mind yet. So when I tell people I don't argue with motherfuckers I don't argue what I understand with what people believe. This is why I'm saying it now. Now you're understanding why I'm saying it. I needed SoFro 3 to be out first before I could break all of this shit down because the levels, we're not the same. And I mean that modestly as fuck, but we're not the same. I've taken my mind places where a lot of people will never take their mind. And like I said, now it goes back into the trust reality. I'm using women because this example helps the most. It helps drive the point home the most, right? Women getting this information from people that they trust. You feel me? Who better to trust than a man when you're trying to figure out, what men like? But it's a man that want to fuck you. It's not a man that, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, you're trusting a biased reality because he's going to tell you men like this. But when we tell stories like men do this or women do this or blah, 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 when we hear those things, it's like, it's from a perspective of a motherfucker who's fucking with you, or a motherfucker who trusts in you, or a motherfucker who wants you to trust them, not a motherfucker who has an unbiased expression. So this is why when they're expressing it, they're coming off of the conscious mind. When they know that they're tapping into their subconscious and unconscious mind, it's because when they start getting emotional and they get shut down. Anybody that can shut down in the conversation has not reached the other two modalities of the mind to where they even understand them. And they're expressing something to you. You keep asking them why. This is one of the biggest reasons where that you want to know as an adult where your mind really stands. Let a child ask you a question and then let them ask you why. The faster you get irritated by that question, the less the higher up in the modalities of the mind you are. You have not accessed your subconscious mind. You have not accessed your unconscious mind. And you're still at the level of belief because you want this child to trust you, not know what you're talking about. The child is asking you why because they're trying to know what you're saying. They're not trying to believe what you're saying. They don't give a fuck about believing what you're saying. They want understanding. They're asking why so they can get through the level of belief, which is the antithesis, which is the cognitive dissonance. They want to get to the knowledge. They want to get to the experience. They want to get to the understanding. That's why they keep asking why. And you're frustrated when they're asking why, because just because I said so is not a valid answer. But just because I said so is a stamp that you have to trust me because who I am to you. Not realizing what you're unconsciously saying is that I've trusted people who could not answer questions because they said so. I was conditioned to trust people because they said so. So you have to do the same to me. It's a cycle that keeps going. It's a cycle that doesn't allow us to leave the first level of the motherfucking mind. But we don't know that. I'm being dramatic right now. We don't know that because we think we're smart. We think we're smart. We think we're intelligent. So they send us to schools and shit like that. When we go to the school system, the school does not teach you to leave the first level of the mind. It teaches you to stay there. Church and school, it's the same shit. It teaches you to stay at the first level of the mind. You know how? You cannot question your teachers. If you ask your teacher too many questions, like, oh my gosh, you're disrupting class, whatever the case. I am trying to understand. You're not going to school to understand. You're going to school to learn to believe. Good employees, Good workers, they're the motherfuckers who believe the most. Now, I'm going to teach you how to believe and trust in yourself, but I'm going to teach you to trust in what I need you to trust in. So you trust in yourself when I give you A's, when I give you certain letter grades, and certain markings, because it helps sustain that first level of the mind. You really think you know shit. You don't really know shit. You reaffirm belief. And that's a very tricky thing, because a lot of people think that reaffirming belief is the same thing as gaining knowledge. It ain't. It ain't. If that were the case, motherfuckers wouldn't be still slow today. There's motherfuckers that still literally think the same way they thought when they were a kid, because they're at the first level of the mind still. And everything about life is just reaffirming belief. You just dive down. You just go in a deeper cycle. You feel me? And you just gain more knowledge and about the same thing. And it's not even knowledge. You're just reaffirming the belief of the thing with more information. You dig what I'm saying? I'm going to give you an example of something that is, I'm going to give you an example of something that is like a rabbit hole that kind of taps into the conscious mind, and it shows how it shuts down. And it shows how wired the unconscious mind is. In the Bible, it teaches you that there's no name greater than Jesus. That's programmed into the unconscious mind of a motherfucker. And until they decide that they don't want that in their unconscious mind no more, it's going to stay there. They'll keep reaffirming their beliefs. So when you constantly hear no name is greater than Jesus, your music says Jesus did, Jesus, 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 Jesus. The moment you find out the letter J didn't exist till 1550, and this man is supposedly the zero start of the world, you feel me? Literally, AD and BC, he's the 0 point. How was his name not his name for 1500 years, and then it became something else? But there's no name greater than that name. Pew. That is how you know you're at the level of belief. And I'm not saying that's what you have to believe in or whatever the case may be. But what I'm saying is I'm showing the depths of what's wired into the unconscious mind. So no matter what it is that people say, they'll be like, oh Lord Jesus, even when you know that letter, like, why are you still calling it? Because now you have to make a change. But this is where it comes into the reality of what comes next. And the reason why I have to use religion more so with belief, I can use other things, but religion is the highest one, because that shows why did they need us to accept religion. A lot of people think that when white people colonized us and shit, and they enslaved us and all of that shit, you feel me? It was the stupid ones that did it. Nah, nigga. No, nigga, it wasn't. They used the stupid ones to oversee shit. They used the stupid ones to run the plantations and shit like that. The motherfuckers who understood the mind, they understood psychology, they understood the stars, they understood all of the esoteric shit that they're using against us. They understood that shit. They know the religion's a bullshit, but they know that it's only gonna keep you at the first level of the mind if you really become a devout believer to the shit. Because being a true believer of anything, means you do not think about it. You trust in it. No matter what it is, motherfuckers will kill you for that shit. You feel me? Motherfuckers will kill you for that shit. You seen, it was the movie with Chadwick Boseman, and he was I think a trumpet player or some shit. And he told dude something about, he's like, yo, God do this, and dude beat him up. He said, you don't talk about my God. You don't talk about my God. That's what they wanted. Your unconscious mind is so wired that when emotions flare, you react according to how we want you to react. That's mind control. Mind control does not need to go, it doesn't need metal hats. It needs to keep you at a state of belief. Keep you at the state of belief and control all the modalities. So when your conscious thought hits, like if you ever talk to a religious person, and when you get to a point where you push beyond where they can go, what do they always tell you? And it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction. Well, you gotta have your own relationship. You gotta ask them for your own understanding. So you can't give me the understanding about something that you truly will die for. Something that you allow to predicate your entire life. You can't give me the understanding of it. Okay. So do you really know it? I've had people tell me you can't understand the mind of God. Well, how can you follow the will of God then? Because will precedes thought. Thought precedes action. So you want me to act according to something that is programmed a thought within me, but I can't understand its mind. But I have to follow its will. That's the bridge. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm saying that because when we go back to the enslavements and all that shit, this is why the indoctrination was so real. We have to make everybody believe in this shit. Because the council of Nicaea was powerful. People think it was just some white people that was stupid that just came together and said, we're going to enslave the whole world. When we look at white supremacy, right, we always think about Nazis. We think about the KKK. We think about the ignorant motherfuckers who are white power. That's what we're thinking about. No, it's the sophisticated motherfuckers who understand esoteric sciences. It's the sophisticated motherfuckers who understand the depths of the universe. You feel me? That's one thing we got to stop doing. They are the masters of illusion. They are the masters of what they call technology. They're the masters of it for a reason. And a lot of times what we see is the face of these motherfuckers ain't even the real reality of these motherfuckers. That's what they want you to believe white supremacy is. Because it puts a buffer between what the reality of white supremacy really is. These motherfuckers understand your science. They understand the stars. They understand the numbers. They understand all of these different things and the different levels of the mind, but they're only going to give it to you in a certain point. This is why you think you really think a psychologist really understands the mind the way you think it is? No, they understand it enough to prescribe you a medicine because now they understand how the body works so well that they understand when the mind is in tune in a certain way, we can make it act accordingly. Why do you think the symptoms of diseases and shit, why all of disease is common? Because they understand that when you eat a certain way and you're programmed a certain way mentally, these are the realities you're going to get. You're going to get depression. You're going to get anxiety. You're largely going to get suicide. You think that's an accident? No, we know what's going to happen. They know exactly what's going to happen because they understand the depths of the mind. We don't. We be thinking we smart as fuck. We be thinking intelligent because we got a motherfucking degree. No, that degree shows me how well you're controlled within this level of this mind. Because think about, you got a whole degree, right? This is one thing that really helped me, help shape me to understand it. When I was in science and shit, it's like they always talk about it's got to be peer reviewed. The fuck? How the fuck can a peer review my creativity? How the fuck can a peer review to know that a peer can review me? No, it's checks and balances. We got to make sure that you're not going off kilter, motherfucker. Like, do all of your cohorts agree with this shit? If they don't, that means one of y'all is the oddball out. One of y'all might really be thinking, and we don't need that. We'll give it to you though. We'll make you feel like, and then motherfuckers they get great. Oh my gosh, this is what pitch like. If you didn't know, if you didn't see the shit when COVID hit, all of these doctors were telling you to trust science that had never been done before. If that wasn't the actual forefront, like the universe lifted the veil just a little bit to say, who's really looking? Who can really see? Not many people had the vision that they were supposed to have. So the universe is looking like, yo, who's really looking? They literally told you, trust science that had never been done before. Niggas coming at me, but I am a scientist and I studied PCR. I know all of this shit. Y'all about to get fucked up. And then look at where we are today. Motherfuckers is like, I trusted my doctor. I trusted these motherfuckers. They keep using the word trust. You feel me? They keep using the word trust. I trusted these people, and this is what it is. But now everybody's sweeping it under the rug. Because I should have known. Nah, bro, you wasn't supposed to. Don't be mad at yourself. Be mad at the fact that you don't realize that your mind has been programmed. You be thinking because you got that. Like, it's crazy, motherfuckers. Like, I'm educated. I'm this, that, and the third. And you got beat. You got beat. You got convincing and taking the shot that hadn't. CDC and them they've been releasing news left and right about how the motherfucking the human's immunity worked just as potent as the vaccine did. So what was the purpose for the vaccine? There was no purpose. It was to see temperature check. We're going into the Aquarian age. Do motherfuckers still believe? Can we still control motherfuckers' minds? Yep. And the answer was yep. They still can control motherfuckers' minds well. Why? Because they understand the levels of the mind. Belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Nobody can get off of the state of belief. They don't want anybody off the state of belief. Anybody that comes out of the state of belief, oh, you crazy. You a conspiracy theorist. You know what a conspiracy theory is? And this segues into the next point of the power of the belief of the mind. The conspiracy is the antithesis. Whenever you hear me say, study the antithesis of a thing, and that will let you know what the fucking truth is. Because where two opposing sides come together, that's where the truth resides. When they tell the same story, that's where the truth is at. Most of these quote unquote conspiracy theories are the antithesis of a thing, the complete opposite of it. Go fucking figure. They just put the label to the shit because they know that if you study the antithesis, you can get through the wall of cognitive dissonance. We're gonna call him a conspiracy theorist. They don't know what they're talking about. Think about this. Everybody they called a conspiracy theorist, the fact checkers were up in arms about heavy. Every time you made a post about COVID or some shit, the fact checkers, this is misinformation, this is wrong information. All of that information that they kept saying was wrong and misinformation was actually right when the shit hit the fan. These fact checkers are gone. They not here no more. They was pushing an agenda. They was controlling the fact. They was controlling the mind. They were saying, this is what we're going to push into your unconscious mind. So when it comes out, you have to challenge it. Like, there was nothing that could be pushed into my unconscious mind because I was knowing of the things that they were talking about. And I wasn't trying to be funny. When I was reporting this information, telling y'all, look, y'all pay attention to this, I was giving you the antithesis. That's why you didn't know what I was talking about. That's why you couldn't fact check or try to find where I was going, because it's like, my doctor didn't say that. This is not what they say. These motherfuckers don't stop listening to these social, and I'm with that. Don't listen to these social media motherfuckers. But I'm not a social media motherfucker. I am a scientist who's on social media. I don't study like these motherfuckers. I don't just take a meme or a post. Everything that I did was thorough fucking research. The research was so fucking deep when I found the fucking map that showed the correlation between the booms and the quote unquote COVID responses and the increase in the 5G radiation. Motherfuckers thought I was tripping. But I showed the actual information and I had receipts. I have receipts for everything I said. And now look at where we at. You see how much, and the motherfuckers like, I'm still never going to forget that y'all was saying that the COVID shit was about 5G. Now look at the technological advance that you didn't even see coming over the last 2 years. They're literally replacing humans now. AI is the thing. How the fuck is AI the thing if 5G can't run it? Bang, bang. You dig what I'm saying? Because I learned how to extend beyond the level of belief of the mind. I don't operate from that level anymore. Therefore, when I'm on that level, I know how to immediately see the antithesis, and I know how to immediately go through the different levels, the different modalities of the mind. I'm able to think with my unconscious mind on the level of belief, and I'm not afraid to do so anymore. You feel me? Because don't get me wrong, it's scary as fuck when you first get through it. That's why I tell people you got to know your religion in and out. That's going to be your first point of understanding your antithesis. Nobody ever studies the antithesis of their religion. They only study the religion and keep reaffirming their belief. So when we look at what a conspiracy theorist is, like when I tell people that for example, if I'm telling people that both the Quran and the Bible are both connotations of astrology, well, esoteric science, but largely astrology, they'd be like, nah, whatever. You think you know everything. No, I'm not. The title of the Bible is called the Holy Bible. The symbol of the Quran is the crescent moon, the moon and the star. Come on, bro. Like, nigga, the Quran is the Quran. The Quran is the expression of the moon. The Holy Bible is the expression of the stars. Holy means sun, nigga. The book of the sun. Why the fuck is it called the book of the sun? The fuck you mean? Fuck you mean? They even forgot to change one word in Psalms where they called they compared God, ain't even compare God. They called God the sun, like Ra. The book ends with Amen. Amen, whatever they want to call it. And that motherfucker be like, Amen means it is so. No, it's not. Amen is an Egyptian god, which is ironic. It's the Egyptian god for the unknown. But it's just ironic because the entire book is how you beefing with the Egyptians. Ain't that some shit? But ain't that some Caucasian shit? Have you hating the very shit that they stole? Council and Nicaea. Don't nobody want to go back to it because it goes with the level of belief. But when I challenge your religion, and then now I'm teaching you that within your religion, the world works this way. Why you think the United States is a nation under God? And gods are the highest conceptualizations of the mind. But I'm going to tell you how high your mind can go. I don't want your mind to go any higher than belief. So I have to give think about this shit too, y'all. When it comes to the level of belief in religion, right? This shows that there's some kind of quandary. Now, again, I'm not saying practice Satanism. I'm not saying be a devil worshiper because I don't fuck with none of that shit. I'm saying understand the full dynamic of everything that your religion encompasses if you're going to accept this religion. How in the fuck do we have, it's like over 600 gods, 6,000 gods or some shit like that, right? On this earth, there's only one devil. Think about it. They all share the same devil. The nigga got the same name. The devil. God has a devil. Allah has a devil. Krishna has a devil. Buddha has a devil. Some ain't right. Some don't make sense. How come each of these guys don't have their own devil? They all share the same devil. It's weird, right? It's weird. But it's a part of the level of belief of the mind. Because then when you understand that this was all allegorical and metaphorical, it makes sense why you would name a god or you name it differently, because it's like this is what we're dealing with. But the dark force, you're gonna name it the same thing. Because nobody wants to avoid, nobody wants to go into the darkness. Everybody wants to be in the light. So it's like my light is better than yours. You feel me? One of the craziest realities is when you actually read the Bible and you understand the names of the people, right? So if you say, you read the Bible and it says, he says, I'm the light, I'm the way. But Lucifer, his name means light bringer. So the book literally tells you Lucifer is supposed to bring Jesus into the world. So we have two realities. Either Lucifer is God or Lucifer is Mary. It's the bringer of light. That's what Lucifer means, the bringer of light. Again, I'm not trying to play you. I'm not trying to play the reality of the religion, whatever the case may be. I know it can make your heart skip a beat and feel a certain way, but this is the power of the fucking mind. We haven't even left the first level yet. So like I said, when you're constantly reaffirming belief instead of truly gaining knowledge, it feels very, very similar. You're reading the same shit about the same shit that you already know. And you're not willing to step outside that box to go through something. I use religion because it's the biggest extreme. But like I said, it goes into the education system. This is why you have to learn history. History is designed to show you who your enemy is and who your ally is supposed to be. And we're like, oh, they're trying to erase history and take black people out of they're trying to say that we wasn't slaves and this, that. And, oh, they did more than fuck up that reality. They got a lot of us believing that we actually came from Africa. Don't get me wrong. Some of us did come from Africa on ships or whatever, but not all of us. Some of us are literally just prisoners of war. That's not even a conceptualization. Like some of us literally haven't realized. We look at our skin and think we're black, but we don't look at our actual features and realize we're not continental Africans. And again, this ain't no shot towards my African brothers and sisters. I fucks with y'all heavy. You feel me? Because we're all Africoid in the end of the day, which is our genetics are dominant. They don't want you to get to the genetics dominant for the sake of the landmass. Because when you start to look at your dominant, your genetics, you start to realize where you're from. So when we look at, oh, they had Seminole Wars and they fought, no, nigga, we're prisoners of war. A lot of the motherfuckers who were enslaved they did not need a ship to come over this motherfucker. They were here. All you keep hearing is get into the markets. But do you trade or do you invest? Should you do stocks, Forex, crypto, or NFTs? My personal answer is not a single one if you don't know how to read a chart. Without knowing how to read a chart, you end up giving all your money to those who do. Do you know what a candle is? Do you know the pocket of activity? Do you know the difference between market direction and market control? If you answer no at least once, you might want to learn how to read a chart first. Learning how to read a chart will let you know if you should trade or invest and if you should do stocks, Forex, crypto, and or NFTs. It will also let you know if this is even for you or not. So visit IamJustSeen.com to learn how to read charts with my Mastering the Market course, ebooks, and webinars today. The world is changing. The question is, will you adapt with it? You feel me? That's why the $5 Indians had to be what they had to be, or whatever the case may be, to try to start erasing shit. And the people that you see on reservations are the people that are largely whitewashed and have been, it ain't no different than what they did in Cuba and what they tried to do in Haiti. Well, you know what I'm saying? It's Puerto Rico. All of these places, we couldn't be killed. The darker ones couldn't be killed. Like if you actually look at the Caribbean, people in the Caribbean, people in Jamaica, like we all look a little different. We all black. Don't get me wrong. Our genetics are fully dominant, but there's something about us that look different because the land in which you're on, because of horizontal gene transfer and the DNA of the plants and the nature that's there, it does structure you a certain way to accommodate your physical features so that way you can operate thoroughly in that area. We don't look like Africans 100%. We share the same skin. A lot of us look like those from Ghana, but we have to understand geography. We have to understand climate. We have to understand things like that. We're in different spaces. So, like I said, with the belief, they really believe 12 million motherfuckers came over here on 2 ships. or 3 fucking ships. Now, well, it was the slave trade, so they was doing it for a long time, 400 years. All right, cool. Even still, 12 million motherfuckers. 12 million. Mm-mm. Miss me with that bullshit. When I say I'm Africoid, I'm not shitting on my African continental people. But what I'm saying is I'm Africoid in the sense of genetic dominance. But I understand that my people, some of my people, like my people were here already. You feel me? When we look at the Incans, when we look at the Mayans, when we look at the Incans, the Mayans, and Aztecs and the Olmecs and shit like that, it's like they just disappeared. No, they didn't, nigga. They us. They're you, nigga. My nigga, they're you. When we look at, and a lot of them, and this is why when people be like, yo, why is California such a pivotal piece? Why do they? Because California, this is why California is named California. It's named after an Africoid queen, Queen Califia. Um, and the power of that is like, you want to know how deep rooted the shit really is? Look at when Bloods and Crips walk. We know that Bloods and Crips started in Cali. Ain't no ifs, ands, or maybes about it. But look at the bounce. Look at how they walk. Then go back and look at some of the ancient Aztec and Incan dances and shit. They was Crip walking. They were blood walking. They were throwing it up. When we look at the Mudras and shit, I got a jam session. I ain't never recorded. I just got the bars. And I actually lost the book, so I can't do the whole jam session. But I said Mudras be my hand gestures, right? If you look at the fingers, like you can actually study this information. There's certain, that each element is associated with a finger. Air, fire, water, earth, and ethers, right? And when you move your hands in a certain way, it connects you to the universe in a certain capacity. You feel what I'm saying? What do Crips and Bloods do? They stack. Where did it come from? We pour out liquor, libation. It's so many different parallelisms and shit that it's like, yo, where did we get that from? Right? So it's like, well, it's because we came from yeah, I don't deny that. But there's also, if you read They Came Before Columbus, it's another book. I gotta go back into my studies and check it out. I want to say it's They Came Before Columbus, but there was one in which there was expressing how there's it's they said there was like two Egypts, or whatever the case may be. And it was, if you study the history and you actually look at it, it was like Ramses came to the Americas, or whatever the case may be. But when he came to the Americas, it was, he came back. It wasn't like he came in colonialism or trying to colonize. He was colonized. When he came back home in a sense, right? So there's a conflicting reality. It's like, oh, they came from Africa. We can't tell them that it was already here, because the pyramids and shit that's actually here, monuments in the Grand Canyon and shit like that, the shit that was here that they don't want you to go see. It's like, yo, y'all already did this shit. Y'all went over there and did it again. You feel me? Then y'all would come back here. There was an actual trade route or a connection between us and them over there. So it's almost like the chicken and the egg. Who came first? We can't really say yay or nay to who came first, because again, they destroyed the history. So they tell you that shit's in the Vatican underneath all of that shit. They ain't burn no fucking books. You think it's easy to say a barbaric people burned the books, but it wasn't the barbarians who took over the information. When you look at war, you send your barbarians to war. You leave your sophisticated thinkers and scientists home. Why the fuck would they go to war? So they have us believing that all of their people are barbaric and they're war driven and shit like that. Largely they are, but the tacticians, the people that understand the shit on the backside that are sending the information for them to go fight, they're thinking a lot higher. They're at a higher conceptualization of the mind. You feel me? They don't operate from belief, but they make people believe. This is where the patriotic complex comes from. I'm American. Niggas be thinking they die hard. That's who they got running the KKK. KKK ain't smart motherfuckers. It's niggas who got the state of belief too. And we're gonna put you in a space to enforce where we are. So again, cops, all of that shit too. It's like, this is why you don't need, like, this is why you need, like, what is it, 8 or 9 years to practice the law, but you only need 6 months to enforce it. Nigga. So when the cop pulling you over, I know the law. Bitch, no, you don't. No, you don't. That's why the first thing they tell you to do is to call your lawyer, because they know you don't know. The cop got 6 months of the shit. They know he don't know. And you don't even have 6 months of the enforcement. You feel me? So that's why you're supposed to call your lawyer and shit like that. But the whole system is designed to thoroughly keep you at a state of belief. You feel me? Like I said, tying it back in, a lot of us, we feel like, yo, we African. Nah, we're not. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. We are American. We are indigenous to this land. That 12 million motherfuckers, nigga, they ain't bring it. Like, there's no way in hell. Think of, and see, this is the part of the propaganda that they're spewing, because to get 12 million motherfuckers in shackles on ships and nobody dies. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about, you got a ship with 2 or 3. Like when you see the movie Amistad, even Roots, it'll be like 2 or 3 white dudes running the ship with 100 niggas. 100 niggas. Ain't no way in motherfucking hell you can convince me that out of those 100, not even 5, it could have been a fair one-on-one fight. Out of those 100, not even 5 or 6 motherfuckers decided, let's bang on these niggas. The fuck? Because it's a part of the propaganda to show, oh, y'all were always inferior. Y'all were always scared of us. Y'all always didn't do anything. Because if we actually put the history that y'all are prisoners of war, and the people that we came over with the smallpox, we had to kill y'all biologically because we couldn't fight you physically. You knew the lays of the land. You knew how to harvest. You knew how to grow things. You knew the things that were supposed to be for it. We called you witch doctors and shit like that. How in the fuck? Think about this, y'all. And I want y'all to really sit with this, because this is part of antithetical thought, right? Seeing another side that wasn't there. To understand the the herbs and the medicinal plants on America aren't exactly the same ones as the ones in Africa. How did the witch doctors have a working, functioning system of thought process behind the herbs of this land that they had not experienced yet? You don't just come over here experiencing shit and know. You have to take time. You feel me? And then you understand when you're looking at people like George Washington Carver. And you're looking at George Washington Carver and they're like, yo, how did he break down the peanut so well? He had experienced the peanut. He's from the land the peanut came from. You feel me? It's not like a lot of the shit don't be as difficult as we try to make it. It be right there in our motherfucking face. But we can't see it in our motherfucking face simply because we're in a state of belief. So we only fuck with shit that reaffirms what we're told to believe in. Yep, y'all came from Africa. Yep, y'all came from Africa on ships. Don't nobody want to look at the reality of where we actually are. That's why I love the fact that I actually came from North Carolina. I was born in North Carolina, but I grew up, like, when I look at my family, we Indian in the motherfucker, or what we would call Indians and everything. I look at our nose structures. I look at the way our hairs, you know what I'm saying, flows. When I look at black people, especially in the South, you know what I'm saying? One thing they always say, I got Indian in my family. No, it's not in your family. It is your family, motherfucker. They erased it, though, to make us think. That's why over the time I went from being the Negro to being African American to being all these things. If I divide you between 2 different continents, I fuck with you. Because you were Negro at first. Like, when did, like, the Negro comes to the actual complex of the genetics? Because you still built like the African skin tone wise, but you're not the same African genetically because of the different landmass that you're on. You do what I'm saying? So when we look at the witch doctors, when we look at the people that have the understanding of the land, the understanding of the herbs that run the land, how did they get there without experiencing it and having it passed down through tradition to where it's stuck in there? So when the people that were enslaved were not slaves, they were prisoners of fucking war. Let's keep it 100. We didn't have guns when they came over here. We had no guns. We may have had a few weapons, but we was largely living in peace. You feel what I'm saying? That's erased from the history. We think they erased Alexandria. They erased over here too. We had books, we had resources, we had shit. That shit's gone. They really destroyed and desecrated our shit. And they danced all around the shit that we like. Every piece was a war-driven thing. The only documented war that they want to talk about is the Seminole War. Seminoles busted their motherfucking ass, but they want to talk about a Seminole War because that is a war in which it has significance in the change in which because that's when the divide started having. Black people was fighting black people. You feel me? Because they had captured people, raised them as slaves, and went to send them out. And it's like, yo, why are you fighting your own, nigga? I don't know that I'm fighting my own. I'm a slave. I've been enslaved. Like, really think about how easy it was just to capture a motherfucker. And it's like, yo, you a runaway. I'm not a runaway, bitch. I'm free. Fuck you. What you talking about? We gonna capture you. They would just capture niggas and shit because it was war. It's still war. And motherfuckers like, yo, why can't we get reparations? You can only repair what is stopped. They're not going to stop the atrocities because they still need this energy. We control this land. Like when people be like hip hop, hip hop started here for a reason, but it's like when you look at the breakdancing and you look at the shit like that, like where did that come from? Those are indigenous practices. You feel me? On the African continent, they had their own rhythmic dances, but they weren't breakdancing. Breakdancing was something that was already in our code. That was a part of our traditional thing. You feel me? And so we largely ultimately change. Like I said, even if you're not even looking at breakdance, like look at the way, if you look at the way, African, we all walk. Don't get me wrong. I love it. We all walk, the Haitians, they walk a certain way. And when I walk, I'm talking about dance walking. Like, you know what I mean? Crip walking, blood walking, like that you see on the West Coast, that is in all of us. Africans have their own walk. Like the continental Africans, they have a walk. The Caribbean Africans, they have their, us over here, we have our own walk. It's all in a movement and how when we feel the beat, we got to do our steps. You feel me? What do they call it here? You feel me? What do they call it here? Shouting. Oh, I was shouting. No, you weren't. You was walking, nigga. You was walking. You was walking, but you forgot. You forgot what it was. But the universal thing between all of us was the drum. So when they took the drum away, it's like, yo, did they take it from Africa? Nah, it wasn't that. They took the drum from here. We built drums over this motherfucker too. But now, because of our state of belief, we're not able to thoroughly understand what the reality is. So our conscious mind has to defend the reality that we African, but our unconscious mind has to fight through the genetic memory of, bitch, y'all were already here, largely. You feel me? And it's like we're slightly different, and that's okay. That's okay. Hear me well. I'm not trying to create division because I know how you motherfuckers get. Oh, you trying to say no, no, no. This is a part of the level of belief. You see how your emotions can get tapped in, and you can instantly say that I'm trying to pick a side, and it's like no, no, no. Both sides can coexist equally, healthily at the same time. But it doesn't change the fact that sometimes we got to see beyond what we've been told to believe in. Because if we don't, then that's when we get wrapped up in the illusions. And that's when our illusions are dictated between us. So like when they teaching us and shit, like, oh yeah, the Moors taught white people how to do everything and shit like this and these things. So when they came over to this land, who were they convening with? This land wasn't empty when they got here, my nigga. You see what summers are like. Summers, if you think like they got you believing that they brought Africans over here because the continent of Africa is hot, the equator, or whatever the case may be. Fuck all that shit. You have to. I have homies that are from Africa who have been in the South or whatever the case may be. Like, it's hot as fuck there. It's like, wait, ain't it hot in Africa? Not like this. It's different. This is a different heat. So that means whoever was fucking working his land had to be acclimated to the heat. You don't just bring a motherfucker over here to a new climate. It's like, it's no different than animals. I'm not equating our people to animals in any way, shape, or form. But if you take an animal out of its natural habitat and put it somewhere else, it'll die before it has a chance to thrive and live. Yeah, I get it. Some will adapt. Some can adapt. There's times when adaptation does not work because the environment doesn't call for adaptation. Case in point, if you brought a polar bear over this motherfucker, the polar bear is gonna die. A lot of people, well, duh, that's because it's not cold. Duh, nigga, but it's deeper than it not being cold because that genetic template is not built for that area. You have brown bears, you have black bears. Neither one of those are polar bears, but they don't even live in the same fucking area. So you mean to tell me that you can uproot continental Africans and bring them all over here? 12 million of them. 12 million of them. And you're bringing all of these continental Africans over here. And in bringing these continental Africans over here, they are able to instantly, within the first generation, acclimate to the land. No, no. And then on top of that, you're taking away what they eat. You're changing their food structure. You feel me? You can't just do that. Nobody would actually actively do that shit in real time. You feel me? But yet somehow you want us to believe that the people that was over here wasn't already acclimated to the weather, to the tropical climate, that this is a different climate largely than Africa. We get so wrapped up in it being hot, we don't know about temperate zones and trop. Like, there's a lot of shit that you didn't pay attention to in school that you were supposed to, because you just believe what the teacher told you so you can get the A. I trust enough in you that this is going to be. I used to hear it all the time. You know, students used to ask the teacher, well, what do you want us to know for the test? Trust in me, because you're going to give us the test, so we have to trust what you say, because only you know what's right or wrong. Think about that shit. You have to trust in the motherfucker who's substantiating whether you're right or wrong. The motherfucker doesn't even have to know what they're teaching you. They have to be able to get you to trust them. And to do that, they have to give you the answers. Sit with that. This be math, science, architecture, art, whatever. This is why you have to pick certain teachers. Like when you in school, to tell you to take a certain teacher, because it's like you can trust that this teacher will give you the answers. You feel me? That you're supposed to have in order to pass the test. I had a teacher that everybody hated. I ain't a teacher. I had a professor in college that everybody hated. It was three of them, really. It was Dr. Allen, Dr. Ragland, and Dr. Lemon. They said they call these women the three teachers of fate, all black women. Everybody hated these teachers. They said you cannot pass their class the first time. I passed out. I didn't have the other two, Dr. Fleming and Dr. Ragland. I didn't have them, but I had Dr. Allen. Everybody said you can't pass her class the first time. When I actually took Dr. Allen's class, she says, I don't want y'all to regurgitate this shit. I want you to know it. She ain't say shit, but she's like, you got to know this information. So when I sat with her, she was the first person. Dr. Allen is the reason why I studied the way that I study, low key. Well, Dr. Allen and Pastor Queen. Pastor Queen was my pastor when I was in California. I was only like 6 or 7, but he's taught about the Greek, the Hebrew concordances, and like how to actually study and like really dive in. So he like set the tone for studying on some real shit. And then Dr. Allen kind of solidified it in college. And I was like, wow. They want you to think, like really use your brain. And then I started to learn how to understand information. So I started to look at hypotheticals and different antithetical expressions of things, and it helped my learning. But when nobody was passing her class the first time, I started to pay attention. These same people needed study guides. These same people would ask the question, well, what do you want us to know for the test? And Dr. Allen used to be like, the material. It doesn't, and she would say, it should not matter what I give you if you understand what I'm teaching you. I didn't get it. I'm like, what? Yes, it should matter because I got to pass this test. No. Then I started to pay attention because I was already applying that low key. And everybody was like, yo, how you not study? Because I mean, I pay attention in class, but the way I study is so quick. It's like when you learn how to see the opposite of a thing, it works. So when I was looking like, yo, it doesn't matter what the study guide is if you know the material. It's different. It's different. You got to know the material. A lot of people don't know they don't want to know the material. They want to trust what was told to them. That's why they can't memorize shit. Memory is largely tied to the experience in which you trust. You feel me? So now, I know it seems like I'm all over the place. To bring that back full circle, now we have this level of the mind being belief, and then we have it connected with our unconscious, subconscious, and conscious modalities. Right? Largely, a lot of us only fuck with our conscious modality. We don't actually use our subconscious and unconscious, because they teach you that you can't use your subconscious mind. How the fuck can't you use your subconscious mind, but your subconscious mind can use you? One fool's like, yo, that was a subconscious response. I don't have subconscious responses anymore. I'm aware of the shit that happens when I do something. And I've learned how to program my unconscious mind to react the way that I need to. You dig what I'm saying? As an artist, as a person who writes music and shit like that, like, I didn't realize how powerful music was because music embeds into your unconscious mind. So imagine when you have a state of belief, the belief paradigm is what they got us stuck in, right? They use our music to affirm it. Like, you dig what I'm saying? Think about the whole image of gangsters and drug dealers and shit like that that has been pushed. And then the unconscious mind is programmed. Like, motherfuckers be like, can't no music make me kill a motherfucker. Yes, it can. It's not just the music, though. It's the imagery. You have a belief that you're a killer, or belief that you a drug dealer, belief that you a hood nigga, whatever the case may be. They're all fine lines between the same thing. It's just a matter of the right moment at the right time to trigger you into doing something stupid. And people be like, yo, why didn't I think about this situation? And I used to hear it all the time growing up. Yo, think before you act. Sometimes you can't think before you act if it's in your unconscious mind, because when your emotions hit, your emotions take away the conscious reality. You're either going to react subconsciously or unconsciously. What's programmed there? Yeah, we knucking and bucking and ready to fight. I bet y'all you, you feel me? So I'm outside of the club and you think I'm a punk. Niggas don't be thinking you a punk. Niggas don't even give a fuck about you. But you let the motherfucker bump you outside of the club and you drunk, you liquored up, all of the inhibitions are gone. All of the equation is there for disaster. Alcohol removes your inhibitions. Your programming is already you at the state of level of belief, so you're trusting in a certain reality. Like, you feel what I'm saying? And then the unconscious mind is already programmed to wire it a certain way. It got you. It got you, and it got you deeply rooted within the capacity of understanding that this ain't me, but it is me, because this is what I choose to believe in. That's why it's always heartbreaking when people say, yo, everybody got their own beliefs. You gonna believe in what you want to believe. No, you don't have your own beliefs. You have the beliefs that a motherfucker's controlling you want you to have. You feel me? Everybody, you're not born a Christian. You're not born Muslim. You're not born Buddhist. You're not born Hindu. You're converted into these things through who you're trusting in, who you believe in. And if you don't trust in it, they beat you. Black people be wondering, like, yo, why do, like, we still enslaved? We beat our kids still. Oh, that's a spanking. They did wrong. It's like, yo, that doesn't teach them. That creates fear. Now, when we look at fear, we be thinking fear is a matter of, oh, you're afraid of me. Now it's deeper than that. Not only am I afraid of you, but now what's programming in my conscious, I have to avoid certain shit in life. So everything that I get beat for becomes the antithesis I got to stay away from. When you can't approach an antithesis out of fear, you'll never act. You'll just reaffirm belief. You feel me? One of the programs that we look at, when I look at black people, they be like, you know, black people, they be, oh, you quiet in public and shit like that. Like, there's a deep rooted reality to those who actually understand the programming of children are to be seen and not heard. So we wonder why people hear that as black people, and it's like when they get older, what's the first thing that they do? Why do black people try to be so flashy? Why do they want to shine? Because we got to be seen if we can't be heard. The fuck? It's not, it's not, you know what I'm saying? Oh, niggas want to stunt. Niggas want to shine. No, there's still that little kid who has been programmed that children are to be seen and not heard. And you get the ones who are rebellious to where they want to move into the residential neighborhood and turn the music up real loud. You're going to hear me since you can't see me. Think about that. Think about just how unconscious it really is, right? To where we put 12s in the back. We get the shit knocking, but we tint the windows out so you can't see who's in the car. Children are to be seen, not heard. You feel me? So when you hear me, you can't see me. You feel me? It's a wild paradox, but it's a part of the belief and it's part of what's wired down to our unconscious mind. It's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit that we have to actually consciously break. And this is only the first level of the mind, y'all. This is what's running the world right now. Because how many people have ever really studied the antithesis of a thing? Anything that you hold, like, this is why I mentioned that in that episode where I was saying, I was like, motherfuckers be like, I never thought about that. Like, shit be in your head. You held on to some shit for a good 15, 20 years and you never thought about it in a different way. That shows that you're not even in the capacity to be looking at the antithesis of a thing, which means what? You're in a level of belief of the mind. So anything that you thought was knowledge the whole time was just you reaffirming that belief, and something was making you believe in it more. You got to dive into it. Like the religion, like I tell people, I'm like, yo, we've been reading the same Bible for 400 years and don't nobody get it. Nobody's supposed to get it because nobody's designed to study the antithesis. And the motherfucker who does study the antithesis, you're going to like, if I tell black people, hey, yo, you know, God said be vegan or be plant-based. No, it's in the Bible that says, yo, let the fruit be thy meat, not meat. So that means you're supposed to be plant. Oh, well, I've already been doing it. Exactly. You've been doing it for so long that your unconscious mind won't let you rewire and see anything else. In the Hidden Raw program, when I actually teach people how to transition into it, it's like, yo, I got to show you how to get over the emotional attachment, because the emotional attachment is how it's wired to your unconscious mind, to why you think you can't let it go. You literally think you're going to get in trouble for the shit on a deeper level because you don't have anything on the other side that we're supposed to eat. Why? I've been doing it all my life. That's your only why. See, that's no antithesis. There's no opposing factor to the shit. So if you actually read the book Hitting It Raw, that's why I went in and gave so many different opposing views as to what he sees. So now you can see, where's the truth at in this situation? It's what walks the fine line and sits in the middle. But the reality is that you're at a state of belief. A lot of us are. Even some of our most academic scholars are still at the state of belief. When we look at those people who were the talented 10th, and was just like, we just want to get along, and just like the whole civil rights movement was established because motherfuckers had a belief mentality. That's why they put Martin Luther King up there. You notice the Black Panther group was called a terrorist organization, and it was called a terrorist organization because there was no religious affiliation. It was niggas really breaking through, not niggas in a disrespectful way. It was motherfuckers breaking through the antithetical reality and showing the other side and showing white people for what they really are and showing Black people who they're really supposed to be. That's when it's a problem, because you're breaking through the antithesis that we have. The religious man, the pastor, the imam, the bishop, they're going to make sure that you remain the slave. Motherfuckers act like there wasn't a trans-Saharan slave trade that was fueled by Islam. They got this shit to a science too. Because everything is about making Black people feel inferior. You have to make the superior people feel inferior. And the only way you can do it is through devices of the world that are going to keep them mentally at the state of belief. Black people feel like all we can do is entertain. Because again, when children are seen and not heard, you get motherfuckers who like to dance, shuck, and jive for shit. But then in that same capacity, their voices crack when it's time for them to say something real. Nah, you can't say that. You wrong for saying that shit. This is why all of these different realities, they give you certain capacities in which you can say certain things and you can't say certain things, because there's things that you have to do to reaffirm your belief. Social media is the newest pinnacle of making sure your belief is reaffirmed that you ain't shit. So much so that they'll shadow ban Black content. They'll fuck up Black. Like that shorty, I think her name is Eniko or whatever the case may be. That I will be one of the greatest. Just me. Like that's her song. She wrote it, produced it, recorded it, and everything. And they literally banned her from her own shit and gave it to another dude. It's like, nah, because he did a cover of it. Oh, this is his song. Nigga, no. But when you operate from the state of belief, when you operate solely from the mentality of belief, you often get caught up in that. You feel me? And then a lot of people, when a lot of Black folks, we just give up shit. I don't even want to fight. Why? Because you're unconsciously programmed not to fight. Think about that. The shit is so powerful, just like I didn't even want to deal with it. Because if I do deal with it, then I have to come from this perspective, and it's like, oh, that's the angry Black person. They put so many different things in place to make us passive, because it keeps us at a state of the mind of belief, not understanding to where we can maneuver the shit and shake shit. But then even still, within that, we only operate from the conscious modality. We don't even realize how deep our subconscious and unconscious minds are really programmed to make us do certain shit or not do certain shit. You feel me? We're in a cage without bars. Ain't that some shit? Largely because of the way in which our minds are programmed. Our minds aren't programmed in such a capacity that it makes us think. It makes us reaffirm a belief. So we go to school, we get a degree, and we learn the same shit over and over again. Science was never hard because all it did was go down a rabbit hole the same way. I learned biology the same way every time. Yeah, you have microbiology, cellular biology, but you're just reaffirming the belief. And you're trusting in the teachers and shit, that the people that are giving it to you, you're trusting that they're giving you the right information. So like when I tell people about PCR and I start talking about the other sides of PCR and shit like that, they're like, nah, that's not right. Okay, cool. Then you have to discredit my accredited institution who taught me this, which then now means that whoever accredited them is bullshit too, because you guys gave the whole green light for everything that I learned. The fuck? So somebody's not right. But that accreditation, all this other goofy shit, it makes you solidify your belief. It's like, I really know what I'm talking about. Now you believe the motherfuckers that gave you the A's. You believe the motherfuckers that gave you degrees and the degree to say, I'm proficient in this shit. Then how do you forget it? How do you not know how to apply it? Those who can do, those who can't teach. You get a whole degree and can't even apply what you're doing because you don't know the truth of it. You only believe what's right or wrong, so you can regurgitate it a certain way. That's what belief is about. That's what the level of belief is about. It is about tapping into fear faith. It's just supposed to get you into the thing. I talk about this in Soul 3. It is supposed to be the catalyst to take you to somewhere, to get you to the point where you can start gaining knowledge. But we be thinking we gaining knowledge and we're just reaffirming belief. Motherfuckers will only read and study according to what proves their point, nothing that refutes it. So when I talk to people and they tell me shit like, I be low key keeping it under wraps, but not many motherfuckers can body me with information because I studied the other side too. That's why I be kicking niggas ass, because I know what they gonna say. Why? Because I studied the antithesis, and now I made a choice as to what's the truth for me. Nobody can tell me what the truth is, and nobody can tell me what facts are. I studied the antithesis. So when people come at me and be like, yo, this, that, and the third, and I'm breaking down what they're talking about, they like, oh, yeah, I know that other side. I know both sides, and I made the choices to what's real and not for me. You didn't. So I know your side. I know your point. Like when I talk about religion, I come through, a lot of motherfuckers don't know that I know the Bible. A lot of people don't know I know the depths of religion for real. And I know the allegory, mythology, and the ritual. I know it. And they're like, yo, you gonna believe what? It's not about belief. I'm far beyond believing this shit. You're still believing in it. And I get it. So our conversation is going to be different. But now when I'm able to say what you're saying and you can't say what I'm saying, that shows the degrees of separation. Yet they still want to go back and forth. Like, you feel me? Like if I tell them that a book is about, the stars, and I tell them it's about astrology, and they're like, prove it. I'm like, I can prove it, but can you refute it? I don't have to refute it. Because, all right, cool. Well, watch me prove it then. I could quote John 1:1 about God. In the beginning, God was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So what was the Word? The Word was Jehovah. What does Jehovah mean? The four elements: air, fire, water, and earth. Just like the signs, air signs, water signs, fire signs, and earth signs. Boom. I don't have to keep going. But again, they be wanting to, I'm not making that up. It's written right there. You just have never studied antithesis. You just keep reaffirming belief. So whatever it is that you hold on to is what's stuck. One of the biggest verses that people always say is no weapon formed against me shall prosper, right? Which is a valid verse. But the very verse before that, because that's 54:17. The very one before that is for I create the destroyer to where havoc in your life, and it can only do what I allow. So it creates the weapon that is forged against you that doesn't prosper. You feel me? It's a cold reality. It's very cold reality, but that is what happens when you believe in a thing. Belief is a very, very, very powerful thing because it's a level of the mind. It's a level of the mind. And when you now tie that level to one of the modalities of the mind, if you're at the state of the level, if you're at the level of belief, but you can only operate functionally from your conscious mind, you haven't even used your unconscious mind and subconscious mind. The moment emotions get involved, you get triggered. That's why when you arguing with religious people, you argue with people and you shatter what they think is their belief and you start to come to terms with it, they get mad and they want to fight. They cuss you out. They want to do certain shit. It's like, because they shut down, because their emotional faculty has to kick in. It protects them. It protects them. And then their whole unconscious mind can't go back into the reality. So tying it back into the very beginning of what I mentioned about why Black women are still single and they're in that conflict, because that is the reality. Your unconscious minds, and Black men, this is why our relationships don't work. Our unconscious minds are programmed to what the reality does not really want to have happen. Black men do not like submissive women. Black women don't like submitting. It's natural. It's a natural order. We don't like it. But yet society has convinced us that we do. And when Black men cheat, they don't cheat with submissive women. Think about it. And when Black women cheat, they don't cheat with a man who wants them to submit. Go fucking figure. It's always, oh, he made me feel alive. He saw me. He saw the real me and everything. It's like, yo, she made me live, man. She had her own goals, her own ambitions. You feel what I'm saying? Don't nobody like submission. But we're unconsciously programmed to submit. And we wonder why our relationships don't work. Because the shit's stupid. Because we're following a system and paradigm that don't work. And then we're taking the advice of elders who constantly say the same shit. Oh, this is going to work. Your relationship didn't work this way. You feel me? And like I said, this comes back into Black women and Black people. Why can't we? Our culture is designed for us to believe that our relationships are supposed to be one way that we're not even built for. You feel me? So now this is why we say shit like they got us believing, oh, well, we're supposed to be. No, we're supposed to be monogamous. But the reality is you cannot be monogamous in the structure that we're in. You can't be monogamous in a submissive situation. You cannot be monogamous in a submissive situation simply because submission ain't natural. Unleashing is natural. And then you can be monogamous when you are unleashing a person. You feel me? A man, his is as men, we're analytical and we're deconstructive. So when we analyze and deconstruct our woman, we get down to the raw materials that can bring the best out of her. It unleashes her. You feel what I'm saying? Women don't like submission, bro. I've never met a woman who does. No matter how much they keep, and this is why it's always conditional. Oh, I submit to. It's funny as shit, and I know I'm roasting y'all, but it is what it is. I submit to the man who can lead. No, you won't. No, you won't, because you naturally don't want to submit. This is why you have to have that condition about leading, because even when he's trying to lead, you're going to tell him where you need to go. And men, on the other hand, it's like, yo, I do not want the responsibility. She's not my child. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, why do men want to go? Because you're not my child. You're my equal. You do not have to submit to me. Men don't get that. This is why we get bored quick. After we fuck, it's like, yo, leave it alone. Because in that reality, it's like, we don't like submission. And that is a reality nobody really wants to deal with, because we're been programmed on and this is just the first, we got 3 more weeks of this shit. We still got to get to the knowledge. We got to get to the wisdom, and we got to get to the understanding. We're at the level of belief, and you see where our relationships are right now. And these are the things that we got to deal with. Men are on some shit like, men don't like submissive women. They don't. We do not like submissive women, and we don't realize that until we have spent so much time with this motherfucker, and we get bored and she's like, you just don't see me no more. We start making up excuses, not realizing the core is that she submitted to us and we don't like submission. It's no longer fun. There's no viability in this relationship. There's no growth because she's submitting to me. And as the faculty that is feminine, which is synthesis and construction, no matter what I analyze and deconstruct, she does not synthesize and construct anything simply because she's submitting to me. She's waiting on me to not only analyze and deconstruct, but also synthesize and construct, because I'm, quote unquote, the leader. Where am I leading you to? And if I'm leading you in a direction that you're not even saying, if I'm leading you to a place that you're not even supposed to be, because this is where I'm going, how much time have I wasted? That's crazy, right? But at the same time, we would know that if we actually understood the depths of the mind, understood that the mind has belief, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Understand that in our state of belief, we still had the 3 modalities of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. What is wired to our unconscious mind is confusing the fuck out of us, and this makes us say no to each other. It makes us say no to anything that is supposed to be us. Our unconscious minds are programmed this way. You leave the hood, you go to college or whatever the case may be, and you go out in the world, suddenly you scared of the hood when you come back. I ain't going back to this motherfucker because these niggas is crazy. Like, you was one of them niggas when you was there. Ain't shit changed, but your unconscious mind and the education system has created a level of belief that you're not that. You're above that. But then you can't escape it when you actually in America. Cause they gonna remind you that you still a nigga. Like, you feel me? I'm just not that nigga. I'm not like them. They'll tell you to your face. I was watching Snowfall, and the white cop told male dad, I forgot his name, Andre. She told Andre, said, yeah, you're one of the good ones. I can't see how you live with them. And Andre's like, nigga, you just said that to me? And yeah, he didn't even think to say, well, damn, you just said that to me. It's like you could feel it, but you know that it's a problem because the emotions got involved, but his unconscious mind is programmed. I'm not like them. I'm not like one of them. Until the reality hit, and his own daughter was smoking crack. Brought that shit full circle, because that was the common ground. Franklin represented one side of the reality of the street side, or whatever the case may be, the part that Andre represented the other side. They were both the antithesis of the same reality that came to the truth that this system is designed to work against us either way. Think about it. Mel was Franklin's girlfriend, and she was Andre's daughter. Andre was a cop. Franklin was a drug dealer. She was affected by the decisions of both of their realities. And she ended up smoking crack. You feel what I'm saying? Crack is an extreme, and I'm expressing it differently, but it's like, look at our state of, look at that's, and when we're in those conditions, in those environments, that's where the level of the mind is. It's stuck on belief. And when it's stuck on belief and your unconscious mind has been programmed for you, you react according to how that belief system designed you to react. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean Christianity, Islam, or anything is a belief system to you when you are unwilling to study the antithesis of the thing. And if you're unwilling to study the antithesis, you're just going to reaffirm belief. And if you just reaffirm belief, you're either going to have faith in it or you're going to have fear in it, or fear from it and fear of it. And if you have faith in it, you're just going to stay in it and go towards it. But if you have fear from it, you're going to run from it. But you'll never reach the point where you can study the antithesis, because it takes simultaneously both fear and faith to be able to walk the line, to define and gain the truth that will get you to the next space, to get through the antithesis, to break through the wall of cognitive dissonance, to gain knowledge. And don't forget to check out Polycafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being, to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Polycafe Clothing. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. And that is the first level of the mind, belief. Belief is powerful, but this is why you affect this level of the mind as a child. Like they got us programmed so that as children, we are affected by that level of the mind. You feel what I'm saying? They make sure that, your belief system, your familial structure, all of that shit is already set up ahead of time, to where you're heavily believing in the shit that, early. And then kids are fanatical. So you can make a child believe something. If you can make a child believe something early, you got them for life. You feel me? You got them for life. And then, like I said, if we're actively looking at numerology and the stars and shit, our first childhood is really the first 28 years of our life, but they get us before the first 7, because you have 4 levels of 7, which are the foundational pieces of your existence. They go through the different elements to, but that's a different conversation. You know what I mean? But belief is that potent. Belief can actually feel like knowledge. You can feel like you understand something that you believe in. You can feel it. The difference is that from experience and from the reality of what it represents, no emotions are evolved when you understand something. When you believe, it's 100% emotional. You feel me? It's 100% emotional. So much so that you can be in a fucked up situation solely because you believe the shit. You feel me? Like when we like to believe that pain is love is the reason why people stay in abusive relationships. Shit's crazy. But then again, it's like when your environment, your upbringing was painful, it was traumatized like that, you're going to trauma bond to the shit because of belief. You don't believe that there's another side to reality. And because you don't believe that there's another side to reality, you don't act accordingly to there being another side to the reality. And that fucks you up. And it fucks you up so much that it causes you to create an entire life based off of belief. So everything has to fit within the confines of what you believe, whether you realize what you believe in is conflicting with you or not. Like, for example, back to the black women being single thing, and then it's like not being able to submit and shit. Like, yo, that is a belief that you have. It's not an understanding. Ask a black woman why she submits. She can't understand why she submits, but she could tell you why she believes she should. And they can articulate it so beautifully. It's like, and I'll be asking black women, so what is it to submit? Well, it's for me to be able to be in my feminine in a capacity. I said, no, that's not submission. That's being unleashed. Literally, when you're saying you can operate in the highest capacity of your feminine, that you are being submissive, no, that is a contradicting reality. Submission means to give up. So how do you give up and gain? It don't work. You feel what I'm saying? Contrary to how beautiful you can poetically make it sound, it's not a real reality. And your unconscious mind knows the difference. Your conscious mind knows that I have to be in this cage. That's why you have to submit to the right man, but you never submit to the right man because society has programmed what the type is for the man that you're supposed to submit to. And you don't even want to submit to that man because you know that you're not supposed to. That man is supposed to unleash and unlock you. Men, we own it too. We don't like submissive women. We don't. We just don't like submissive women, and we don't realize that we don't like submissive women till we're with a submissive woman. And then it's like, oh, you don't think for yourself. I got to do everything. It's like, yo, she don't even want to walk on the wild side. It's like, yo, every time we fucking, it's like, yo, you initiate the sex sometimes. Something. And it's like, it's little shit like that. It's like, yo, I'm not submitting. She's like, oh, but I've got this man that I can submit to and all this shit. And now you in a submissive relationship with the men that you feel can't do shit for you. This shit weird. But even deeper than that, it follows the ploy of everything that we're dealing with, because everybody only understands belief. You have to follow belief within it. Like people say, you know, people still look at me and say, yo, you got a degree you're not using. I used it. I don't get it. Like, what do you mean I didn't use my degree? People think, oh, if you're not in your field or doing a job, you didn't use your degree. You don't know what, not like, you think, how many classes do you think I took to get that degree? You think I just took forensic science classes? No, I had to take electives. I had to take language classes. I had to take so many different classes. It's all here. You just can't see it because you operate from the state of belief, not the state of understanding. It's not what you walk away from. It's what you walk away with. You feel me? I put in a lot of work to be able to move these things. So I actually have the knowledge of everything that I've learned. A lot of motherfuckers only had the belief that got them the A. That's why a lot of motherfuckers they struggle. Like, why don't you remember? I remember people be asking like, yo, how do you remember this shit from undergrad, elementary school, middle school? I don't remember it. I understand it. So it didn't go anywhere. Like, it's different. Like, I don't believe in what I was told. That's why I can still perform the shit now. You dig what I'm saying? But a lot of people, because they believe that teacher, they believe that whatever, it's like, that's what gave them. Like, I seen this kid, he was a bad student one day. And one day he was just a bad student. And then one day the test got mixed up. And the teacher put an A on his or whatever the case may be. And from that moment on, he thought he was an A student. He believed that he was an A student. Him getting that A program to his unconscious mind that, yo, you can do it. So he started studying. He started paying attention to class. He literally changed his entire reality simply because he got an A and never went back. And it was like, oh, that wasn't your test. Oh, the shit was mixed up. Yeah, but you believe that you can do it. That's how powerful belief is. That's why they tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. You can tell a mountain to move and it'll move. But that's the power that shows right there. That's the allegory for what that level of the mind is, the belief. It's powerful enough to make you do certain shit, but it's like when you take that belief and you can gain knowledge and now you can go through the wall of cognitive dissonance, nothing can control your mind anymore. His mind was literally controlled by a letter grade. His performance as a person was controlled by the grades that he got. And because he got a different grade, he changed it. It's crazy, right? But it's real. That's the power of belief. A lot of us are literally stuck in that realm of belief, and we just have to get through the antithesis and see the other side. So imagine what it is to believe in yourself. That means you have to understand your good and your bad. A lot of us pick one side of ourselves and amplify it and reaffirm it. We go party with motherfuckers or we hang with motherfuckers that's just going to reaffirm that side. What does that do for us? Keeps us in the same bracket. Why can't I find friends that I want friends that'll do this? You can't until you change the reality of what you believe in, because your unconscious mind is going to be what taps in when emotions are involved. When you feel these friends that bring certain feels out, the feels that you're used to feeling, not the feels that you enjoy feeling. The feels that you are used to feeling are what are going to help predicate and keep amplifying your unconscious mind. And the things that amplify your unconscious mind are the things that dictate your reality. And imagine all of this is built, the world that we living in right now, the choices that we have made largely are tied to our belief level of our minds. The whole belief level of the mind, that's it. That's a crazy reality. It's a very crazy reality, and it's a cold reality, but it's a reality nonetheless. And it is the reality that no matter how hard we try to escape it, we can't, because we don't understand the levels of the mind. Until we face the antithesis and we look at the opposite side of a thing, you feel me? And we understand where it's telling the same story that we're telling, we won't know the truth. And if we don't know the truth, we won't use things correctly. So understand the level of the mind, all four. Belief is the first one. We're going to go into knowledge next week. And then after knowledge, we're going to go into understanding. After understanding, after wisdom, we're going to go into understanding. Experiences first. But we're really going to dive into these. Sit with this because it's going to segue into the next one. You got to get through the antithesis to get to knowledge. But it's tied to understanding the modalities too. Conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind. You can control those, but something is controlling you right now because of the things that you're being, like the music that you listen to, the shit that you watch, all of these different things. It makes you respond a certain way. So the question is, are you going to continue to respond that way? But do you understand why you are responding that way? So I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And understand that our kids, they're already being programmed already. But you have the capacity to dictate how they're going to be programmed and whether or not they'll be prepared enough to move off the level of the mind of belief. Don't teach your babies to believe, teach them understanding, but understand the 4 levels that each part of the mind has to be, and also to understand the modalities, right? I highly encouraged reading Sophrel 2 and Sophrel 3, because Sophrel 2 holds the modalities of the mind, Sophrel 3 holds the levels of the mind. And when you're able to bridge those two together and see what it is, now you take control of your full mind. You feel me? My mind is mine and I own it. And there's no way I'm going to use 10% of my mind anymore. None of that shit. I use 100% of my mind 100% of the time. And I've learned how to use levels of understanding. I will not go back below that. But you feel me? As time goes, y'all are going to start to see more and more and why it's different with me. So it's like when I tell people I don't believe in shit anymore, it's not that I'm, fearful and shit. No, I'm not on that level of the mind. Therefore, my unconscious mind has no desire that when emotions are triggered within me, that I go into a preset reality and response. I don't do that anymore. And we got to stop making sure our kids do that too, because that keeps them in a state of fear and it keeps them away from learning what they really need to learn, because they're not able to move into the antithesis of a thing to break through the wall of cognitive dissonance to truly learn and gain the knowledge within it. So, like I said, go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And as always, I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.